increase. If you have your hard and you have your soft increase. Soft increase, they do not bother your credit score at all. So an example of a soft increase, if you apply for a job and they have to pull a credit report on you, then that's not going to appear on your credit report, and it's not gonna hurt your credit score. If sometimes if you apply for an apartment, that may not show up on your credit report. This is soft pull. So if you get those pre-approved letters in the mail, things like that, they didn't just send that out of the blue. They had a soft pull on you. They kind of looked at what your credit was like, and then they decided to go ahead and send you that pre-approval letter. That's an example of a soft. Soft, you didn't apply for anything. You didn't ask for credit for someone, so that's why it's considered soft, and it does not hurt you. Now, a hard pull is when you actually ask for credit for something. So if you go and apply for a credit card, or if you go and you go and you need a bank loan for some reason, you're going to get a car, or maybe you go to, I don't know if you go to the bank anymore to get a student loan, but wherever you go and you're applying for credit, you're asking somebody to give you something, you're getting a car, whatever it is, you're getting a mortgage, of course, that's going to be a hard pull. So when they pull your credit, you're asking for something, your credit, you're asking for something, and they will deduct a few points from your credit report every time that you go. So that's one of the reasons that you need to be prudent about applying willy-nilly, like I usually say, willy-nilly and all over the place. Don't apply everywhere all at one time. The credit bureaus consider 6 increase as bad, and increase stay on your credit report for 2 years. So they consider 6 as bad. So if you've got 20, 25, 30 increase on your credit report, then that's considered bad. And then think of it in this form too. If you have 20 different inquiries on your credit report, and let's say they dinged you 3 points each, you get dinged 3 points each, 20 times 3 is 60. You lose out on 60 points just because you had people pulling your credit. Now, here's where it doesn't affect you, though, with all of those points. If you're going to look for a car or you're going to apply for a mortgage, you have a window where you can apply for multiple times for the car or a mortgage, and that window, I always say be safe and do it in 2 weeks, no more than 3 weeks to have that done, to go ahead and search all you want and for a good interest rate or what have you, and it doesn't affect your credit score, 20 pulls, times 3. That doesn't happen for you. Eventually, the credit bureau system knows that you didn't buy 5 houses at one time. They know you didn't buy 2 cars, so they eventually just boil it down to 1. Now, all the people will still be listed individually wherever you went to apply. They'll all be listed individually, but your score will not take that hit, 20 times 3, 20 times 2, or whatever. It won't take that hit. You'll get dinged for one inquiry for one of those things. So that's kind of what happens with your credit report, and it goes down. Now, you also asked why does it go? Why do they, why do they do that? And I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know why the credit bureaus decided this is a category that we should add and calculate for somebody's credit. I have no idea why they decided to do it inquiry-wise. Now, I understand why it's on your credit report, because it makes sense for it to be on your credit report. Because if it wasn't, technically, if you went to one bank and you got a loan at that bank, and then the next day you went to another bank and you got a loan there, and the next day you went and got another loan somewhere else, and there were no inquiries on your credit report, they couldn't tell what you have done, because those items wouldn't have hit your credit report as of yet, as far as the account showing up in your credit report. So you could run out and run up a bunch of debt in like a couple of days, and nobody would be any the wiser until you couldn't make those payments. So I see why it's on your credit report, but to ding you for them, if you will, I don't know. I don't have any idea why they decided to do that. Maybe it was to stop people from going out and applying for credit willy-nilly any and everywhere. But I would think if I was a banker, I would want you to come to my place and apply for credit. If I sold cars, I want you to come to my place and apply for credit. I don't care how many places you want to go to. I would think that my service, my car, or whatever it is, might be better than the next man down the street. And I wouldn't want anybody not to come here just because you're concerned about getting an inquiry on your credit report. And that does happen oftentimes. So that is the answer to your question for Tia. Thank you very much. You are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. Thank you very much, and say hi to your husband, Bobby Terrell, for me as well. All right. Thank you very much for Tia. Again, question of the day is brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, the Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. Located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. That's 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. Get by there and tell them that the 800 Credit Score Man sent you. All right, thanks a lot, TD. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to throw out a couple of more birthday shout-outs. I want to shout out Todd Carter. Todd has a birthday, might be today or tomorrow. So happy birthday to you, Todd. On Monday, Notary Josette Scott is celebrating a birthday on Monday. I won't tell everybody how old you are. I know how old you are. So happy birthday to you, Notary Josette Scott. Happy birthday to you coming up on Monday. And so let's jump into the statement of explanation. So that's what I want to talk to you next. What in the world is a statement of explanation? So a statement of explanation is this. So when you have something that is out of the ordinary, some people will place this on their credit bureau and it's not anything really significant, and they want to write a statement of explanation. They want to explain because this one account is really giving them a bunch of trouble and they can't get it off their credit bureau, and they've disputed it a bunch of times and they went back and forth with the particular creditor and is hurting their credit report, or they just don't like that. They want the information to be accurate. So a statement of explanation is just that. If you have an issue and it hasn't been resolved the way you like it on your credit report, then you can write a letter that would be placed on your credit report. So when people pull a credit report on you, again, might be a hard pull. So when people pull a credit report on you and they're looking at your list of accounts and all of those things and what your credit card debt is and what your mortgage is and how much is the payment on your car, all those things, they'll also be able to view this letter. So everyone that pulls your credit report will also be able to see this letter. And basically your letter is a general letter. So it's not necessarily addressed, to the bank that you had the issue with or what have you, because they're not necessarily reading it. It's for everyone else when they pull your credit report to see it. So is it helpful or not? So I'm going to say, generally speaking, it's not that helpful. Generally speaking. Now, if you have had some serious issues, then it may be very helpful. I mean, if you had something catastrophic happen, then it might be good for your credit report. It definitely will be good for your credit report, for people to be able to see it and to be able to judge you on that and not, one thing. So if you had something that affected your entire account, then it might be good for you, because there's a low chance with everything being automated these days. It's a very low chance that anybody is going to read it. Again, why I would stick to, 8 sentences or less, 10 sentences or less. Every statement of explanation I've ever seen is at least a page long, because everybody wants to give the exact details of what happened. With everything being automated from your numbers and, what your credit score is going to be and all of those things nowadays, then the chances that somebody's actually going to read your entire letter are slim to none. But you should place it on there, especially if you are, say, you're going to get you're going to apply for a mortgage sooner or later. You want to put that on there, because if you're going to apply for a mortgage, there's an actual human being that's going to be your mortgage lender. That person will read that letter, and I'm sure read it in its entirety. I guarantee you the underwriter for that mortgage company will read this letter and read that letter in its entirety. So it's definitely something that you can do for that. So when you're, I would use it or reserve it for like catastrophic things, I would say, or something that's really extraordinary. If you were caught up in Katrina, or the wildfires of California, or I don't know, airplane fell on your house, something catastrophic that might affect all of your livelihood. Then that's something that you may definitely want to put on your explanation, your letter of explanation, and simply, I can't really give you an example of one, but simply you would just tell your story. Tell what happened to you. Tell why you're having an issue. If you want to make it personal, and because XYZ company was giving you a bunch of trouble, and they didn't place your payments on your account and, they decided to foreclose on you or, just send you the collections or what have you. If they want to do that, then absolutely do that. But your letter or your statement of explanation goes on your credit report. Everyone will get to see it. You'll have an opportunity to pull it down if you want to at some point in time. If your credit is suffering, then you should have a letter of explanation. When your credit becomes good, you should definitely take it off, because you don't want to give pause to anyone, especially if you're going to go apply for a mortgage or you're going to refinance or something like that. You don't want to give anybody any pause to say, hey, what's going on? And then they have all of this information that is maybe outdated at the time. You've recovered totally. So for your letter of or your statement of explanation, you should absolutely do it if you feel it's going to work out in your favor. If you just want to vent, I suggest you go on Facebook and you vent. You vent to everybody that you know on Facebook and let them know what happened to you and why you don't like company XYZ. All right. So that is about your explanation. So let's talk about dispute letters. And I think last week we maybe the question of the day had something to do with disputes and what have you, and it was Charles. I told you Charles was from Barbados because I didn't know where he was from, but since then I've learned that Charles is from Baltimore. So Charles from Baltimore, he was the question of the day as of last week. So let's talk about your dispute letters. And again, I believe that less is more. Write a short letter. If you have several disputes, it's best to write one letter and list all of your disputes and why you feel this count is not valid. It's not valid for you. So maybe it's not valid because you paid it before it went to collections, so it never should have went to collections. Maybe you share a similar name with a family member, and this doesn't just mean no guys. There are ladies. I just mentioned Notre Josette Scott, gave her a shout out. Her mom had the same name, so maybe that would show up on your credit report. If you're a junior or a senior or you're the third, your information could be mixed up. It happens all the time, believe me that. And then maybe it's past the time. So maybe, it's over 7 years old, and it should be off your credit report. Maybe you filed bankruptcy 10 years and 3 months ago, and it's still on your credit report. You want to get those things off. So that may be a reason that you're, sending in your dispute letter. Also, if you're writing to dispute the following, collection, you just say, if you're also, you would say this in your letter. I'm going to give you an example of why to do that. So how you write your letter. You just write, I'm writing to dispute the following collection accounts on my credit report. Then you go ahead and you list the original creditor. So you had an issue with XYZ department store and you had a credit card with them. List that. That's the original creditor. Then you want to list the name of the collection agency, because if it's gone to collections, it's somebody else. You want to list the name of the collection agency. And then you want to list any customer or reference numbers that they have assigned to you. So your original account number will most likely be different than what the collection agency has. So if you're doing that, the credit bureaus are going, and you're disputing through the credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, you're disputing through them, they're going to refer to the collection agency. So that number is the most important number that you want to have for that. Most of the times, if you've never heard from them, you don't know where you put that letter or whatever, then typically it's on your credit report somewhere in that collections portion, so you can find that number. And then you just want to say why why you're disputing it. So the things that I mentioned before, where it could be on your credit report because of those things, those may be some of the reasons why it's on your credit report. So it's just the wrong name. It wasn't supposed to go to collections. Maybe the creditor promised to remove it after you paid. Maybe, you paid the collection, you made an agreement with them, and they promised to remove it, and they didn't remove it as of yet. So those are all reasons why you can go ahead and you can dispute some of the actions on your credit report as well. So you would place that in your letter and simply write it like that. I'm writing to dispute the following collections, and list those collections out. and give them that little detail and send it in to the credit bureau. Now, you're going to have to send it in, like I said last week, thanks to Charles's question. You're going to have to send it in to all 3 credit bureaus. And if you have more than one, list them all out. If you have more than one, it's really better to do it this way, to send